y'all, it's Danielle from Rosetta Vera, and today I'm just coming to you with a quick project. I have a couple of smaller art pieces that I picked up from Society 6, I think it's called, and what I wanted to do was frame them to put them on my wall. So I think this is like maybe a 3x4. So what I did is I picked up some frames from IKEA. So this is a fist bow. This is a 4x6 frame. And what I'm gonna do is take some scrapbook paper and make it a background for the picture. So I'm not gonna mat it. What I'm going to do is more so cut down the paper so that the picture can sit on top, so it has more of a 3D effect. So this paper is 6x6. I'll put what brand it's from, because this is from my stash of paper. So this is one of my 6x6 paper pads that I have packed up. So what I want to first do is cut this down to 4x6. So before I do that, I want to get an idea of the orientation of how I want to put this piece of art on the paper. So what I did was I took one of the frames I already had and took it apart. So these frames are relatively cheap, and you can lift up the little metal points to pull out the acetate and the background. Let's put that to the side. And because I want to have an idea of how it looks in the frame, like I tried different things. So that is one way we could do it. And I selected these papers yesterday because I wanted to save time in pulling that out. Don't really like that. I believe what I came up with was this off to the side a little bit, and then putting the frame. Is it that way? I think I had this over a little bit more, so that you get some of that pattern in the paper. So I wanted it a little off-centered. So what I want to do is, so I want to cut this down to, this piece of paper down to 4x6 so it fits in the frame. So let's do that. So I have my small paper cutter here. It's a little dusty because I moved a couple of months ago and it's been packed up. So what I first want to do is pull out. Now, since this paper is already 6x6, I really just need to cut the side down to 4 inches. That's what I'm gonna do. Ooh, I really need to clean this. So I actually didn't need to open it up at all. So we're gonna lay that in there, make sure we line it up at 4. Snap that down. Cut that way. Okay, so that's our 4x6 piece of paper. Line that up again to make sure that's what I wanted. Okay, and now, just to make sure I hold the art where I want it, I'm just gonna apply a little bit of tape to the back. And at first I don't have any tape ready, so I'm just pulling out the Scotch tape here. Let's get rid of that extra piece. I am still getting my art supply situated. Some things are still in boxes. So I'm still figuring out my life. So what I want to do is I take a small piece of tape, now The only reason I'm using one piece of tape is it's a very small piece of art. I don't want to use too much just in case I need to move it around a little bit. Now, for the sake of symmetry, I can pretty much eyeball a lot of things, but some people can't. So I'm going to put this back on the cutter. I'm going to use those lines on the cutter to line up where I want to put the art. And then I'm going to press it down so it sits on top of the paper. Unfortunately, I don't have a cutting mat anymore because, long story short, one Christmas, my brother gave everybody money for Christmas, and my cousin put his card down, and all of the money, since it was crisp new bills, fell behind my cabinet, my kitchen cabinet, and my cousin decided to take my cutting mat and use it to slide between the wall and the cabinet and dropped it back there. So I no longer have a cutting mat. So I'm seeing something here with this acetate that, here we go, that peels off one side. Now this acetate is a little on the delicate side because I see scratches in the plastic, so just be very careful when you're putting this back together. I'm gonna drop the acetate in there. You're gonna drop your piece of art. It's gonna be a tight fit because I did cut this 4 by 6 exactly, so it's gonna be a little tight. And I usually keep the paper that comes with them just to give a little bit more cushion to the back. Slide that backing back in there, and you're going to fold down the middle pieces. Now, if I was going to sit this up on like a dresser or a bookshelf, I would pull out the stand, but I'm actually going to hang this on the wall, so I don't need to do that. I'm going to turn it over, and there's your framed piece of art. Now, looking at this done, I could have moved the art over a little bit more. I could have centered it, but I kind of wanted to follow the L shape of the paper and how that was flowing. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the other pieces that I have, because I have, I think, 2 more pieces to do. And then I have a 5 by 7, which is a little bit different, so I'll show you guys that in a moment. So I'll speed up, or I'll just play some music through the next couple of months. So here we go. Instead of using the cutting my cutter to measure, I decided to pull out a ruler to cut it. So I said these are 3 by 4. So I want to try to get these in the middle. Unfortunately, I don't have a pencil near me, so I'm gonna have to do this bootleg style where I'm using 2 rulers to do this. I would recommend that you actually use a pencil to do this, but as I said, I don't have a pencil near me right now. I'm kind of making an L shape with 2 rulers. Why do I have 3 rulers in this room? I have no idea. as I was opening boxes and putting things away, I just kept finding more rulers. There we go. It's a little crooked, but okay. So those are all my 4x6 pieces of art. I mean, well, my 3x4 pieces of art that I put in these 4x6 frames. So originally when I purchased these, I was thinking that they will all go in my bathroom, but I think just these two are going to go in my bathroom. This one is going to go in my living room, because it goes along more so with my color scheme and theme there. So that's those three. And as you see, it's not a typical mat where you see the mat sits on top of the picture and it kind of gives this beveled look. This is more sitting forward, so it's more of a 3D look. If you wanted to add even more dimension, you could use mounting squares to make it pop off the page even more. Then I would probably say not to use that IKEA piece of paper that exists, because you want to leave a little bit of space, but you can use mounting squares to make them pop a little forward even more. You could also take the acetate out and just have it be more like a shadow box effect. So those, let me show you the 5x7 I have. So for the 5x7, I have a different frame from IKEA. Normally I would look up how to pronounce this, but I think I'll just look it up and put it in here somewhere. But this is a 5x7 frame. These are actually really, really cheap at IKEA. I feel like $1 or $2. So I'm going to use this one to frame the card that I got in the Stickii Club. I want to say this was the cute pack for May. But I just opened that on my channel. So they have this card in one of the packages, and the artwork is by Imagine Station, and I thought it was really cute, and I thought I would frame this and put this in my office area. So it didn't fit in a 4x6 frame, but it fits nicely in a 5x7. I asked my daughter if she wanted me to cut this in half and give her the other side framed, and she said no, because it's a dual-sided card. I kind of think I should cut this in half, only because I do like the pattern, and it could be nice just to hold on to it. Decisions. It does give it a little more dimension if I do it this way. Just leave it as the card and let it pop up a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna leave it. I'm not gonna cut it. So what I wanted to show you about this card is I didn't feel like going into my big box sold paper. I have a big tub of paper. I didn't feel like going in there, so I went back to my 6x6 pads that I had around, and I decided I was just gonna use a pattern that I could easily repeat behind the card. Because the card is so large, it can hide where the joins are if I plan it right. So the first thing I need to do is cut this paper down to be 5 inches wide. And then we're going to have to stack 2 behind the frame. So just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, let's take this frame apart. So this frame, like I said, is very, very cheap. So there's really not much to it. It's really just you pop it out. It's just a plastic frame, so you just pop on the edges and it pops out. Of course, it's giving me a little problems today. And that's it. That's pretty much your frame. So what I want to do is put both pieces of the paper behind it in a way that you can't really see where the join is. So I'm thinking that the join should go at the widest part of the card, so that once it's in the frame, you don't really see it. Now, I chose this paper because I thought it would be easier to match the pattern versus choosing a paper like similar to the ones in this frame, because the pattern is so detailed. I felt it would be harder to match it, and I really didn't want to do just a plain background. I also felt like a plain background, it would be really noticeable that there's a line. So there's a couple ways I could do this. I could do it vertically, where the lines run into each other, or I could do it horizontally and try to match the lines that way. Now it's funny, to me the lines are more seamless this way, but I kind of like the vertical better, I think. Decisions. I feel like that's more seamless, but I kind of like the vertical better. What do you guys think? Vertical or horizontal? So let's try this again. I picked this paper out thinking I was going to do vertical. And now I'm thinking horizontal is a lot more seamless. Matching those yellows is a lot more seamless. So let's do that. Let's try it that way. So that means we're going to need to cut each piece of paper to 5 inches in width with the cutter, and then stack them, not this side because this side has that green line, but with the yellow vertical line to get a more seamless transition. All right, so let's cut that. So I'm still going to need to use the cutter because I need to cut this down to 7 inches tall. But first I need to connect these two pieces of paper. Now normally I would use invisible tape so you don't see that, but it's okay because this is going to be behind the card and you're actually not going to see it. So unlike the other times where I cut the paper and then laid down the art, I'm actually going to lay down the art before I cut this time around, because I want to make sure that that transition line is at the widest part of the card. So now, since this item is larger, I'm going to add 2 pieces of tape to hold it now. And this is why I was debating cutting the back of the card, because the tape is going to ruin the artwork now. So this is roughly the widest part of the card. I'm going to press that down. So now I need to cut this strip of paper, this complete strip of paper, down to 7 inches. So I'm gonna freehand this a little bit to get it kind of where I want it. Just gonna kind of do it by feel. I just have to make sure I don't cut more than 7, or we're gonna have to start all over again. So let me bring out one of my mini rulers. That's about 9 inches. So we can go ahead and cut here. Right. Then we said we need at 7. So this should be 5 by 7. We're gonna hope it's 5 by 7. That's, uh-oh. A little less than 7, but we should be okay. Okay. So let's put it in the frame and see how it turned out. If you don't have a ruler or you don't have a cutter, what you can do is you can take this piece of paper that comes with the IKEA frame, or you can take the acetate and you can actually put it on the back of the paper and trace around. The only thing is that when you cut it out, it may be a little bit larger than the space, so you just have to be aware of that. You might have to do a little trimming to get it right. I have definitely done that when I didn't feel like pulling out the cutter. I have another cutting machine that was, of course, motorcycle. That was a lot more involved than this one, the smaller one. So sometimes I didn't feel like bringing it out. I had a rotary cutter. Okay. So as you can see, it's a little bit wider. The frame is a little bit wider. If you wanted to, you could put a little piece of tape so that it doesn't move around in there. Just to keep it stable. And that's not the fault of me cutting it. That's the fact that it says it's a 5 by 7, but it's actually a tad, the acetate is a tad bit wider than 5, and that's probably because of the way it's made to put the plastic back in. I'm gonna throw that piece of paper in there just for a little bulk. Put the cardboard in there. And then we're just gonna snap it back in place. So like with the other frame, if I wanted this to like sit on a dresser or a shelf, I would pull out the stand. But I plan on hanging this on the wall, so there you go. And that's framed up. And that can go on the wall. And that line where I connected the 2 pieces of paper, you can barely see it. You have to really look for it. It looks like one continuous piece of paper. So that's it for a quick project. And I'll try to bring you some more projects like this and how I use my scrapbooking supplies and things from like Stickii Club. I'll also put the artist name from Stickii Club and also from these pieces of art that I got from Society 6. I have like a whole wish list there of things that I want to add to my home, and I have a couple other pieces that unfortunately I didn't get big enough frames for, so I won't be talking about those today. And also I have one piece that is a 3 by 3, and I didn't have a frame that really worked for that, so I got to buy another frame for that. So that's it. I'll try to pop in some pictures of how I hung them up on my walls, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, as always, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to click subscribe if you're interested in more videos like this. And as always, thank you.